So how do I raise without a big network? 98% of founders I meet ask this, and I'll tell you the ones who say they don't raise because of this are using it as an excuse. How do I raise if I don't have a big network? No Ivy League connections, no VC uncle, no Silicon Valley group chat, just you and a business you're trying to get off the ground. Here's what I actually tell founders when they ask me this. One is network is leverage, not the foundation. Founders convince themselves that warm introductions are the only missing piece, that if they just knew the right people or a few investors that the round would magically close. Now, warm intros help, but they don't fix a weak story, unclear traction, bad positioning, or a business that isn't even built for venture capital in the first place. I've watched founders with incredible networks fail to raise because the fundamentals weren't there. And I've watched founders with zero connections close rounds because they were sharp, prepared, and could clearly articulate why their business was worth betting on. Now, a network amplifies what you already have. It doesn't manufacture it. So if you don't have one yet, your first job is to build a business worth investing in, because no amount of warm intros will save a pitch that doesn't hold up. And two is start with proximity, not permission. You don't need someone to introduce you to investors just to start getting on their radar. What you need to do is stop being invisible. Attend events where investors are. Comment thoughtfully on their posts on social media, not just to flatter them, but to show you understand the space. And share your progress publicly. Build in public so people can watch you execute in real time. So when you do reach out, ask for feedback on your business, not a meeting to pitch, or ask specifics about their KPIs they look for. And the reason this works is simple. Investors, they're inundated with cold pitches from people they've never heard of, but they've maybe seen your name, read your thinking, and watched you make moves over several months, maybe on social media. And then you're no longer a stranger. You're someone they already have context on. And that's a completely different conversation. So 3 is to borrow credibility. If you don't have a network, the fastest way to get one is to attach yourself to people who do. So find 2 or 3 advisors who have relevant experience, a name investors recognize. Get an early customer who's well known in your industry, or bring on a small angel investor whose name will carry some weight in your space. You don't need 50 powerful connections. You need a handful of credible people who can say, I know this founder personally and they can execute. Investors are making really high risk bets. So social proof from people they already trust dramatically lowers the perceived risk of writing you a check. It's not about nepotism, it's about how trust transfers in networks. So number 4 is raise from a combination of capital, not just one source. This is where most founders without the network go wrong. They skip straight to targeting top tier VCs and then get demoralized when nothing moves. If you don't have an established network in venture, VC probably shouldn't be your first target anyways. So you're going to want to start with customer financing, grants, revenue, debt, micro angels, or strategic partnerships with companies that can benefit from what you're building. Each of those will give you something more valuable than money in the short term. They're going to give you proof of traction, proof of execution, proof that real people and real organizations have looked at your business and said yes. And by the time you're approaching larger capital, you're not asking them to take a leap of faith, you're showing them a track record. And number 5, investors need to observe you, not just hear from you. So if you're raising without an existing network, your timeline is probably going to be longer than someone who went to a school with a partner at A16Z. That's just the reality, and it's okay. So use that time strategically and start asking strategic people to be added to and sending investors updates before you're formally raising. Share milestones, what you're learning, how the business grows, and let them watch you operate and build transparently. So what this does is shift the relationship from founder who emailed me a cold pitch to founder I've been watching build something real. And by the time you formally ask for a meeting, you've already done the work of building trust, which is the actual job of networking. I'll tell you, I helped a founder close a round in 2 months after struggling for over a year. No network, no industry experience. We fixed the narrative to showcase her in the lens of being fundable. She created an investor newsletter with monthly updates, and even when she got rejected, she asked if investor would like to be added to her investor newsletter. An investor who said no ended up writing her a check after being on her updates for just 2 months because they appreciated the level of transparency. Raising without a network isn't a disadvantage if you need to overcome before you can start. It's a constraint that forces you to build something in public before you go asking people for money. And that usually makes you a sharper founder and a better fundraiser anyways. Most founders who build their network from scratch understand capital better than the ones who raised on connections alone because they had to earn those conversations. So now that you know how to approach it, at least foundationally, forward this to a founder who's been sitting on their idea, waiting until they know the right people. And make sure to subscribe because every week I share new tactics on how to become more fundable.